I just want to clarify a couple things about transgender and transsexual, okay? I just want to say a couple things. And the reason I want to come back to this is that I want you to be really, really clear about what we're talking about. Because what we're talking about is trans, like this trans issue. And we're talking about trans rights and people who are trans, or trans people, or how trans issues, or trans discrimination, or transphobia. And what are we talking about? Because we're talking about two very different populations of people. We're talking about people who are transgendered, meaning that, people who are bending all the gender rules, right? Which all of you are at some level, bending gender rules. And whatever the rules are, because they're hard, I don't even know what the rules are. I don't even know anybody really knows what the rules are, right? But we're just bending a little bit. Cody. It was what is it? Cole. Dude, I was close. 4 letters, started with a C, had an O in it. All right, so Cole. And then, the other day, who's doing drag. Like you're bending, you're not in your awesomeness, at least on the weekends or whatever, right? You're bending gender rules, right? And so okay, that's, you're kind of going back and forth and that's awesome. But there's what historically we have called transsexual. Now, we're not kind of using this anymore because we've sort of taken transgender as the umbrella term for all things trans. It's either trans or it's transgendered. But when we talk about transsexual, what we're talking about are people who are saying, listen, it's not that I'm fluid in my way of gender. I'm fluid in the way that I express my sexuality and think about sexuality, or the way I express it, embody it, whatever. It's not just that. It's beyond that. It's like my entire body itself, my spirit, that spirit that is inside of this body, because that's all we are. Our spirit's inside of a body. And like when we die, we drop our bodies and we move on. But my spirit, this time around, and I have this idea, I don't know if I was having a conversation with somebody last night. I have this idea that our spirits are asexual. That our spirits, what we know, so I don't know what you know or think about reincarnation. I think about it a lot. I read it about it a lot. I read the science of reincarnation. I'm really kind of into it. That there's a sense that we have these spirits, and they will come into a male body, a man body, or a woman body, and back and forth, right? So you go, you reincarnate, you come back. It doesn't really matter. Maybe you don't believe that. That's fine. But half the world does. And so okay, I don't know who to say they're wrong and anybody else is right or whatever. But in any case, right? So I have this idea that people, maybe the spirit just gets comes into the body and it's it's the wrong body. And it's just, people just feel I'm in this body. I would be I'm in this man body, but I just feel it's just not right. You know what I mean? It's just not right. And so it's not that I want to express, I can try to express myself as a woman, whatever that is, as a different gender other than the one that would appear to go with the male body. Again, that's all just bending all over. We're all bending it. Don't forget, every woman in this classroom if you're wearing pants, you are bending gender. Not for right now, but just go back 50 years you are. And in many cultures, you just wouldn't wear pants. You just wouldn't do that. So in any case, it's just my spirit just doesn't feel, it's not here. It's that my body should be, I should be a woman. I am a woman. It's not that I should be, I am a woman. And therefore, I'm just in the wrong body. And so then I start to say, let's transition. So I'm not going to, this isn't about just I'll do something with my makeup or clothes I wear or who knows what. No, I'm going to actually transition in a different way. And then I'm going to start moving over here, and I'm going to do some things, right? Like I'll start taking some hormone treatments, and I'll start, just kind of moving along and just see what happens. And then maybe it just continues to feel right. And then okay, maybe I will, maybe I won't. Maybe I'll do, implants, right? And maybe, you see, that's transsexual. That's different. So transgender, transsexual. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because we started to lump everything together as trans, and you all have come of age at a time when trans rights are just at the forefront of of so many conversations. I feel like people just miss. You run the risk of missing these two things. So people who are transsexual, right, who are going nah, listen, this isn't just about me bending gender rules. I'm going to transition in a different way. This is a really, really big issue. This is not to be conflated with coal, which is awesome, right? Coal's a different thing. This is different. So we're talking about something else. So, okay? Or any others of you who identify in some way as non-binary, transgender, whatever, however that is, which is awesome and it's cool. And it's why not, man? Oh my God, just don't be stuck. Just be stuck. Who wants to be stuck in one thing? If you can but transsexual is different. You all right? This isn't a flippant thing. Everybody who I know in my life, and this goes back more than 40 years, everybody I know who in my life who have identified in some way as transsexual, that has been a major, major challenge, a major transition, a very thoughtful transition, a very not just one day, I've decided, I'm a woman now, so therefore the next day I sign up for hormone treatment. So this is not about that. This is about everyone who I've ever known, every story I've ever read, everybody. It's this is a very slow, thoughtful process and a powerful experience because this isn't just about changing identity. It's about opening up and walking into a different. It's beyond identity. It is mind, body, spirit. And it's really, the awesomeness is mind-blowing in my mind, in my humble opinion. And I know people, I know little kids who from a really young age, they just knew, man. They just knew that they were in the wrong body. And I know somebody now, parents, who are just they at first they were just oh my God, I can't, these are not academic liberal eggheads who are want to be cool people. These are average people who are just holy shit, what have we gotten into here? What is this? What's going on? And then listening to their child articulate what it is that their child is experiencing in life. It's and watching the parents just slowly transform the way they see their child and the way they go from a he to a she. It's just a most powerful experience. And so what I want to say to you is it's not always like that because there are some people who just are jagged with it. They don't know, the transition isn't easy for them, or parents or family or friends who don't really understand, and then they make it really difficult. But I'm telling you, I have witnessed this from the front row seat. I have witnessed this kind of transition, and it is awe-inspiring. And I just want to say that to you because you're going to hear more about it because you will. And when we're talking about the rights of trans people, we're talking about the rights of transsexuals and the rights of transgendered people. And they're two different populations of people. And some of the rights overlap, but some of them are separate. And that's really, really important. Okay? Is that cool? So now I want to show you this. Take a look here. This is a poll. It just came out. I don't know how. I know that PBS, the NewsHour, is really, really careful about polls. But polls these days, it's hard to get anybody to take a poll. But do you support the 2021 Equality Act that would protect people from discrimination? So by the way, I'm going to ask you, not after this slide, after the third one, okay? They would protect people from discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity, okay? Which includes, but again, I don't know what gender identity means. This is the problem, right? So we've now started to conflate all these things together that, like, if someone asks me these questions, I'm like, I don't know what you're really talking about. Are you talking about transgendered people? Are you talking about transsexual people? Are you talking about the LGBT community? Are you talking about, what are you talking about, right? But nonetheless, right? National adults, so 63 support the Equality Act that would just protect people, right? 63 support, 32 oppose, 5 are unsure. And look at the difference in Democrats and Republicans, okay? Can you respond to that?
Me?
What do you think? Yeah, what do you think about the difference in Democrats and Republicans? Olivia.
It kind of makes sense, to be honest, because Democrats and Republicans have opposing views, that it makes sense that if one party supports something so heavily that another party wouldn't support it because they have different points of views.
Oh, I got you. So you think that it's possible. By the way, this is actually a really, really cool answer. I don't mean actually. It's actually, in spite of Olivia being Olivia, she actually has a really cool answer. No, this is a really cool answer, all right? So you're saying that it's like a party platform kind of thing. If Democrats support it, Republicans are going to be against it kind of thing.
Not just that, but
Okay.
yeah, I think that there's a lot of things that, like, if a Democrat says something, then a Republican is just like, oh, I'm going to say the opposite just because.
Yeah.
But I think you sign up to, or like when you do sign up to be in a part of a party, it's because you like align with their views. So like it makes sense that the majority of one group would support it, and then probably the other side would disagree because it's the other side.
And then you're just you're inundated with information that's confirmation bias, right? You're going to only look at information that supports what you already think you believe in. Because again, I don't even know what the hell that question means. So you think you can answer the question, so you're going to do that. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of like social media stuff, if you like it, then they show you more that's liked. So
God, yes, exactly. Okay, so check this out. Okay, so all the liberals in here who are thinking like, oh yeah, these Republicans, narrow-minded Republican kind of types, right? So hang tight, gentlemen, you're going to be next. So yeah, look, 90%, how can you oppose protecting people from discrimination based on gender identity? It's like, come on, man. It's like, look, Cole over here, right? Remember Cole from the other day, right? Cole does drag and so on, right? Cole, can you get a nice shot of Cole, his smiling face we can't see? Okay, his smile we can't see. So look, dude, what that means is, like, this guy, you can just discriminate against him? Like, I hire Cole, I find out that, you do drag? Oh, no, hang on. No, I'm not hiring you. Like, you're not going to be permanent. You're going to do this. No, like, I'm not going to rent my apartment to him. I'm not going to do any number of things just because, whatever, because I don't support that, and I think that's bullshit. And so, therefore, I can discriminate. Who supports that? Like, come on, man. Like, who would support that? Like, dude, can you stand up? Dude, he's a nice guy. Like, why would you want to discriminate against this guy? You know what I mean? Dude, do you have any idea why anybody would? Wait, hang on.
Misconceptions and bad past experiences with people from the community.
But no one has any experiences, man. You know what I mean? They don't. It's all in their minds, right? Okay? It's all in our minds. Like, yeah, why would you do? Okay, you can't see his smile, but assume you got a nice smile. Look, he's got a cool smile. Okay? Got that? So who would do that? But now watch this. Watch this. So go to the next slide. Do you support or oppose legislation that would prohibit gender transition-related medical care for minors? Look at that. So red is support, blue is opposed. Here's national. Look at Democrats and Republicans. It's the same. I'm like, oh, all right. So like, wait, hang on a second. What happened to the narrow-minded Republicans? They go away. Like this way of like, oh, look, you go to that last slide, there's completely opposing viewpoints. It's like, oh my God, the Republicans are over here, the Democrats are over there, they're wrong, we're right, they're wrong. Whatever it is, I have no idea. We're wrong, they're right. I have nothing. But look at this. Basically, like, yeah, all right. Oh, you mean that? You mean that's the actual issue? Oh, okay, I support that. You want medical procedures? Like, all right, that's cool. Like, I got that. Look at the next one. Do you support or oppose legislation that would prohibit transgendered student athletes from joining sports teams that match their gender identity? Look at that. Basically, more Republicans support that than Democrats. I'm like, what the fuck, people? Like, come on. What happened to the narrow-minded, bigoted Republicans from the first slide? Maybe they're not narrow-minded and bigoted after all. Maybe this stuff is actually more complex. Do you have a thought of that, bro? Will, what do you think of it? Or Jared, one of you.
What we were just talking about, I'm just confused on the phrasing because it says like they're opposing legislation that prohibits transgender. So are they saying that they
opposing, so here it is. So opposing legislation that would prohibit. So the legislation prohibits that, and I oppose that.
So they're letting the transgender students
and so this
participate.
is actually, it's where you want to be, right? Oppose legislation. So I support legislation that would support it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The point is, the Democrats and the Republicans are basically, they're the 69-66, 25-29. It's like, there's no difference. So do you have a thought as to why there's no difference for these two things? Do you have a thought on that? Why on these two issues? Because, by the way, can I tell you something? I oppose this. I'm like, nah, hang on a minute, man. Male athletes, like, I'm like, I'm not so sure. I'm just not, hang on. It's not that I oppose it, but I'm like, on the face of it, hold tight for a second, y'all, right? Men's body, so a male sprinter, so that means like a male sprinter, right? Who's almost across the fastest men let's say just a sprint sport. It's going to be faster than the fastest woman. That's just the nature of these things, right? So the fastest male sprinter at Penn State isn't not necessarily faster than the fastest female sprinter at Penn State, because it may be that Penn State just happens to have the fastest female sprinter in the country. And so therefore, he's going to be faster than the man who's like, the 20th fastest. I don't know, right? But like suddenly a man can just decide, hey, can transition. And like, okay. But wait, hang on. Then there's a kind of an unfair advantage. But yet at the same time, what if you transition biologically and you want to participate in sports, what, are you just left out of it? You don't get to participate? So like, you should be able to participate in sports. So this is what I mean. Like, this is a complicated thing. So why do you think it is that Republicans and Democrats they basically agree when you get to very specific things? Do you have any thoughts on that? You don't have to have any thoughts, by the way.
I mean, say because what they're talking about high school.
Talking about any sports across the board. It could be grade school, junior high, high school, college.
A way you could look at it is that, obviously these parents have kids who are student athletes. They just want the best for their children. So they're not going to oppose something that's going to not let their child do what makes them happy.
Okay, all right. So when it comes to actually individuals, they're going to say, like, this isn't about somebody out there. This is actually about real people. Just like, with you, bro, right? You're like a real person, so people would see you and be like, oh yeah, there's this guy in my Social 118 class that does drag. He seemed like a normal guy. I actually think I'm going to go watch him perform one day because that's pretty cool, right? As opposed to, there's a drag show going on. F that. I'm not going to that. That's kind of strange. But you've now met somebody, so you're more likely to say, like, okay, so you may have a child, and you're more likely to say, oh, well, hang on a second. These are about children, so let's do that. Let's support children. It might be my child, but do you have anything, Dad? You don't have to have anything, by the way. You're good? All right. I'm not giving you a lot. I'm not asking for a lot right now, so. Okay. So do you see how this is? How, like, I could have stopped with that, here. I could stop right there, and I could have a whole conversation about Democrats and Republicans and, bigotry and discrimination and God knows what. I have no idea, right? And then I come back up here, and suddenly, oh, wait, this is actually a little bit complicated.